A new edition of the book of Genesis is causing quite a stir in theological circles. It renders the first book of the Bible in comic strip pictures drawn by the doyen of underground comics, Robert Crumb. The book has been promoted as racy, even a little scandalous. The front cover says that adult supervision is recommended for minors. However, as Robert Pigott, our religious affairs correspondent, reports now, although the pictures are explicit in telling some fairly lurid stories of sex and violence contained in Genesis, critics say that their real impact lies in forcing readers to confront the meaning behind them.
And the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord, from out of the heavens. And he annihilated all those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew in the soil.
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is like the rest of Genesis, depicted in Robert Crumb's comic book in graphic, unsparing detail. Screaming figures with staring eyes climb over each other, then crawl blackened and alight as what look like fireballs rain down on them from a vengeful God. Nothing is left to the imagination. The pictures aren't obscene, certainly not pornographic, but they are explicit.
And that night they gave their father wine to drink. And the older one came and lay with her father.
I'm completely sick of doing the Bible now. I'm totally tired of it, fed up with it.
This 5-year work has taken a toll on its author. The rows of detailed black and white comic strip, every scene, every bit of dialogue included. Robert Crumb said he came to the end believing that Genesis was a powerful text with many layers of meaning, but not the Word of God.
I began to hate it as I worked on it, actually. It's pretty kind of hateful in a lot of ways. I've had my fill. About 30 pages into it. God, the idea that millions of people for a couple thousand years have taken this so seriously seemed completely insane and crazy.
Crumb made his name with underground comics and subversive characters such as Fritz the Cat and Mr. Natural. His trademark, big-breasted and curvaceous women. He's reported as considering a satirical Genesis, but decided the text was too bizarre to make that work. So he played it more or less straight. More or less. Paul Gravett, the director of the Comica Festival, says Crumb did add his own subtle message.
With the book of Genesis, he wants us to reread it in a new light, and also perhaps to not just to read the words, but clearly to see his visualizations and to think about how there's often a disjuncture between what you're reading and what you're seeing. This is the real power of the graphic novel or comics medium, is it can add a whole new soundtrack, a whole visual track, I should say, to the reading experience.
The Bishop of Croydon, Nick Baines, says Crumb's treatment brings Genesis alive by depicting God engaging with a messy, real world.
You know, one of my complaints about church is that people read a bit of the Bible and go, this is the word of the Lord, and everyone says, thanks be to God, and you move on to the next bit, instead of going, what? Are you kidding? When you read these texts or look at them when they're depicted like Robert Crumb has done it, I think it's supposed to raise questions that tease our imagination and get us going, so what is going on here?
Perhaps over centuries of continual reinterpretation by theologians, Genesis has become a more remote, a sanitized story. By setting it to pictures, Robert Crumb seems to be challenging his readers to think again.